Let's go on with story number 6. We're going to go to John Fakler. John, you used to write about white collar crime. This isn't white collar crime. This is blue collar crime, but it's something that we seem to be talking about week after week after week after week. So let's just go ahead and continue with that momentum. This is coming,
including last week.
Yeah, this is coming out of WSVN, which is Channel 7. It's a Fox affiliate down here. And I will read you the headline, Mr. Fact. I'll read you the first couple grabs and I want you to comment. Headline: Police say man pocketed over $100,000 after pretending to be a licensed contractor for multiple roof repairs. And here's the first couple graphs, Mr. Fakler. A Miami man has been arrested after police said he pretended to be a licensed contractor and defrauded 13 victims across Miami-Dade County. According to the detectives, a collaborative investigation between the Miami-Dade, Key Biscayne, and Hallandale Beach Police Departments revealed that since August of 2019, John Lewis McQueen defrauded numerous people by offering to build new roofs without a license as required by Florida law. This investigation was initiated in August 2020, said Miami-Dade Police Department Detective George G.D. Estepan. Police said McQueen, 64, fraudulently utilized the credentials of legitimate contractors on fake receipts and contracts across the county. After a thorough investigation and with the assistance of Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office, an arrest warrant was issued for McQueen, who was located in Hallandale Beach and arrested on Wednesday. He faces various charges, including grand theft, organized scheme to defraud, and contracting without a license. During the investigation, a total of 13 victims were identified. Detectives said they suffered a total loss of approximately $103,000. Now, Mr. Fakler, before you comment, last week when we dealt with another supposed contractor who took off with $125,000, you made the argument that, listen, anybody with any brains needs to go onto the state website. They need to look up and see if that contractor is licensed. And if they're licensed, they should be good. Well, according to this story, this gentleman was using the name of a contractor who was licensed, even though this individual wasn't. So what say you, Mr. Fakler, and how do we avoid this going forward?
Well,
What would be your advice to the audience?
It's a great point. This is a hustle. This guy has his own little hustle going. And for his way to bypass them checking that he's got a contractor's license, he decided to use somebody else's license. And what he did was he showed the customers invoices and contracts with this guy's name. So they probably said, oh, this guy's legitimate, but why did they not ask to see his license? I mean, to see that the names match up. And the woman, I think that was interviewed, suggested that I'm so trusting. I trusted this guy, and this trust issue is something we've talked about in the past too. A lot of people, especially elderly people, are very trusting, and they believe that whatever business people tell them is true. But in this case, I mean, I am of the ilk that, like the story we talked about last week, this guy is the culmination, 13 different cases for $103,000. Apparently, this guy was charging less than 10 grand. You and I both know it costs 20 grand to do a roof. So, maybe the guy, whoever this customer was, said, oh, wow, this is a great deal for me. Let me just jump on this now, because it probably is going to be less than 10 grand if there's, 13 cases cumulative. So, I'm just guessing here that, again, the workaround for these people, perhaps she didn't pull her permits either. These people didn't have their permits pulled, and they figured, okay, I'll avoid any kind of trouble, and I'll just go ahead and take this deal. But the problem is, this guy took the money, and it didn't do any work.
So, Mr. Fakler, last week
you cashed it that day.
Last week, Mr. Fakler, you said that what the audience member should do is, if they're getting any work done, they should take it in installments. As certain work is done, you give a little bit. Sounds like this contractor took a small amount. Therefore, the customer was willing to do it because they figure, okay, this is the initial deposit. And then as he does work, I'm going to go ahead and have more money. So you said that you need to look up and make sure he has a license. You say you need to give a little bit. Well, that's what these people did. So what do they do going forward, Mr. Fakler?
Well, from what I read from the story, there's no recourse for this person. There's no way to get that money back. The guy took the money. He cashed the check the same day he took the money, and they have no recourse. I guess, they can sue, but a lot of these people are just on a fixed income. They don't have money to get a lawyer or to sue the contractors. So, chances are this woman and these other customers that got bilked, they're not going to see any recourse as far as their investment.
And Mr. Fakler, last question before I open up to the floor. And you wrote about white collar crime, and this is blue collar crime. Potentially, it's white collar crime. The first case was 2019. What the hell took 5 years? Granted, we had a pandemic. Why did it take so long from a police perspective, Mr. Fakler? Did it have to do with the amounts were so small? Maybe they didn't trigger enough to get the cops on the trail, on the track, or what would be your best guesstimate, Mr. Fakler?
It's a guess, but I would guess that. And think about it like with banks, right? People will try to make that number under $10,000, so they don't get on the radar or the feds.
You're talking about a currency transaction report when you deposit $10,000 or more. The bank needs to notify the IRS or the Treasury that you made a deposit.
It's the same scenario. Maybe this guy decided, I'll charge them all $9,000. I won't get in trouble this way. I mean, it could be. I'm just saying that.
Interesting.
It's a possibility.
Lydia, John, Mr. Fakler made some predictions or offered some advice last week about what to do to avoid this. Apparently, that doesn't work. Do you guys have any suggestions for somebody who might want to hire a contractor? You look up their license, a name was provided, you only give a small stipend. That didn't make a difference. And it takes 4 years for the cops to run it down. Anybody have any suggestions besides not hiring a contractor in Florida?
Well, I think you need to go with someone you trust. Maybe your neighbors use the roofer, some friends. You need to go with recommendations from people you know and trust. I think that's a good place to start, because then you get, not just some like fly-by-nighter. And the fact of the matter is that there's thousands of these small-time scammers, running around Florida and taking advantage of people. I mean, there's no way the police, it's like whack-a-mole. There's no way the police can track down all these small-time scammers. I mean, 100 grand. This is really small potatoes. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, because it's not small potatoes to the people who got ripped off, but it's small potatoes for the cops. This is not this doesn't rise to the top of the priority list.
And one question for the floor. Is it possible to bond this out? Is there a way to get insurance with the contractor? Much like if construction is going to go on, there'll be a bond that's issued to sort of cover the costs in case contractor goes sideways. Does anybody know? Or is this dollar amount simply too small that the cost of the bond it just wouldn't make sense?
Well, first of all, to get bonded, a contractor has to have really an awesome track record, and with an insurance company. No insurance company would bond a small time roofer, and the fact of the matter is that it's multi-million-dollar jobs that get bonded. It's not a $10,000 roof.
So it sounds like this guy, Mr. McQueen, who allegedly built 13 people out of $103,000, sounds like he figured out the hustle where he was able to do a low amount. He was able to use a contractor license for anybody who searched. Anything Mr. Fakler raised in terms of what the audience should do, this guy got to run all of it. So this might be the MO as to, what to watch out for.
I tried.
Well, I guess the takeaway is if you're getting any work done, you better do your due diligence, listen to everything Mr. Fakler said, and then you also might want to say a prayer and cross your fingers that the work actually gets done and you don't get defrauded here in the state of Florida.